Hey guys, today it marks a rather sad anniversary. Today, 25 years ago, at the San Marino Grand Prix in 1994, we lost one of the greatest Formula One drivers in history. Three times world champion Ayrton Senna da Silva. To me, he was the greatest Formula One driver. He had 64 pole positions, 41 victories, and three world championships from 1988, 1990 and 1991. And I shall never forget the time at Donington when he came out from, I think it was about 5th place to 1st within the first lap. And that is impressive, and it just shows you his unique skill. Even on his final qualifying on the Saturday the 30th of April, he managed to get a car which was virtually unstable because obviously they banned active suspension onto pole position, and obviously they'd had a few teething problems with the car. The first two races, unfortunately, Ayrton didn't finish, and then obviously this Grand Prix was going to be the start of something new and the battle for the World Championship. But tragically, on the 7th lap, Ayrton's car went off at the Tamburello corner into the Tamburello wall, and as a net result, Ayrton died of his injuries a few hours later. He was pronounced brain dead. A very, very tragic weekend in Toll, because obviously the day before, the novice driver Roland Ratzenberger, driving for the Simtek team in its first year, was tragically killed during the second part of qualifying. So yeah, a very dark weekend in Formula One history. But his driving skill, Ayrton's, is unsurpassed, and I think he was a great inspiration for Lewis Hamilton, because Lewis has learnt a lot from Ayrton's racing career. I, for one, remember it very well when I actually was watching the race and saw the accident, and the next day I felt very numb because I couldn't believe that he was gone. There you go. I mean, the thing is, I mean, if the actual car, when it hit the wall and the tyre missed his head by 10 millimetres and the wishbone hadn't pierced his helmet, he probably more than likely would have got out of that car, restarted the race in the spare car, and gone on to have won it. And apparently, when they actually recovered him out of the car and looked in the car, they found an Austrian flag in there. So, you know, I mean, he could be a ruthless driver, but he had a big heart, and he, on one occasion, I think it was around about one of the races at Spa, actually saved the driver Eric Comas's life. So stopped his car in the middle of qualifying and basically went over to check that Eric was okay, and managed to go, get him to recover consciousness, and he was on the scene. So there you go. That just shows what a remarkable man he was. I would heartily recommend you watch the documentary Senna. It's a fantastic film on his career and takes you right up to the events of the San Marino Grand Prix. And at one time, he actually, before he became well known, was living in Reading. So there you go. What more can I tell you? And he's actually known in history around Monaco as having done the fastest ever qualifying lap around Monaco in 1988, when he beat his then teammate and great rival Alain Prost by 0.4 of a second. Yeah, that tells you something. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to go on with the inbox review. This kit is actually produced by Fujimi. It's very highly sought after, obviously because it is in connection with Ayrton's last race, and obviously with the car that unfortunately was tragically killed in, and was his last team that he drove for. no doubt if he had survived the crash and got out of it with just minor injuries, it would have been an interesting season between him and Michael Schumacher. But tragically, we shall never know now. But there you go. Yeah, the kit itself, as I say, is very highly sought after. Obviously, with a connection with Ayrton's last race. They do two previous models of the same car. One at the race at Fuji, and the one at the first race of the season at Brazil. Unfortunately, both of those races Ayrton went out on, so the San Marino Grand Prix was going to be the start of his championship challenge, but as we know, tragically, it wasn't meant to be. But yeah, I mean, I've had a look through the kit myself, and it does look very lovely kit, and there's plenty in it for you to build on. I love this unique Rothmans colour scheme. I do have some aftermarket tobacco decals to go with it to make it more accurate, because obviously tobacco advertising has now been banned. So as I say, you can look online to get tobacco advertising decals, which aftermarket companies do. And I managed to source them off eBay along with a figure, which I've got here, of Ayrton in his Williams Rothmans race gear, and you can actually have him in the pose before the actual start of the race if you should so wish, or even with his helmet on. I'm probably going to do it in this pose here actually, with the engine cover back off. So yeah, it's not a bad little kit. It's made by a company called GF Models. They do a series of driver figures, and that's their website if you want to have a look on there, if you want to look it up. And there's the kit number, which is GF20027. Okay, and it's in 1/20th scale as well. I'll just quickly open up the box so you can have a look at it. As you can see here, you've got the parts of the actual driver. Nice level of detail on them, as you can see here. And you can either have one with Ayrton with his helmet already on, or with it sitting on the side of the car, as it were. And you've even got a resin seat as well, which I'll probably use for this kit. So there you go. And also inside, once you painted the figure up, you've also got the decals for his overalls and his crash helmet. So there you go. And there's your colour guide there as well. So there you go. Because what I'm thinking of doing, as I want to get around to building it at some point in the future, is I'm going to have a little diorama or vignette of him on the starting grid at the San Marino Grand Prix as a tribute to him. As I say, lovely box art there. The unfortunate thing is this is an export kit, so it's mainly in Japanese. You've just got the official licensing on there. Kit number on this one is 090 580 5000. So if you want to get my teeth back in, freeze frame that, you may do so. Okay, a little bit of Japanese writing there, box art illustration there. And as I say, unfortunately this is all in Japanese, including the colour callouts, which is going to be a bit of a pig, so you're going to have to do some research on the colours. Okay, so you do get a lot for your kit, and as I say, I've actually got the aftermarket sponsorship, tobacco sponsorship decals, which are made by FA Decals, and the decal number on this one is FE0007. Okay, and then we've got the instruction sheet here. It does give you a colour guide, but it doesn't actually give you a sort of a guide as to what colours are, so you're going to have to do some research on this, guys, unfortunately, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, but there you go. And then you've got a little history about the car itself. And then the first process of the construction is obviously to put the dry decals of the Goodyear sign on all the 4 tyres. Okay, and then you open it up, You've basically got the sprue tree there. Okay, as I say, it's all in Japanese because this is a Japanese export. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can get onto their website and get English interpretation printed off. Check it out. And then obviously you've got the colour call out there, which you can see of the car, which you can actually model in either Ayrton's or Damon Hill's car. Okay, and then the next stage is basically put the wheel hubs into the tyres, and that's how they should look in the end. Next series is the actual construction of the actual Renault engine. Got the main engine block here with the rear support for the tail, rear tail. Part of the suspension goes on. Then you've got the part of the actual piston rods which go into the engine block, along with the support for the rear wing. And then you've got the cylinder heads which go in. Another part of the engine block goes on, and the front part of the engine block, along with the drive shafts, etc., is all there. And then obviously part of the suspension goes on next, along with to the heads of the engine block, which you've got a decal for here as well, the Renault one. And then you assemble and fit the exhausts, okay, which connect to the engine block on either side. And then you build up the rear brake discs, as it were. Add them to the back of the engine block and suspension, and then you've got the air filter which goes on the top of the engine block there. Okay, and then the next stage is the assembly of the dashboard and the steering column. Goes inside the monocoque and cockpit, along with the seat, for which I'll do the racing one. Put the two halves together, and there's your colour call out for the actual monocoque, as it were. Then you fit in the headrest along with the aft decal. I'm not quite sure what that is. And then you've got the detail part for, I would imagine, the electronics for the steering, etc. goes on the front there. Okay, and then you connect the rear battery, or black box, I don't know which one it is, along with the wishbone for the front suspension. And then you put the firewall on with part of the nose there. More parts of the suspension go on to the monocoque, and then that's part of the air filter which goes in. And then you've got the brake pads and brake discs, assembly of those. They're fitted to the suspension, which I think actually turns. And then obviously you've got the monocoque and the engine which go onto the main part, the chassis. Okay, then you've got side air filters which go on, and you've got some detail there with the wiring, etc. Rear part of, I would imagine, part of the exhaust system. That's part of the rear filter. Okay, another part, sub-assemblies. Again, you've got colour guide there. The assembly of the front wing, added onto the nose, and then that goes onto the back firewall, along with the engine cover. And then you've got the assembly of the rear wing, which you can see there, along with the decal placement for the Goodyear. Oh, yeah, a bit of cramp there. Then you've got the cover for the main part of the electronic section on the front nose. Then you screw in the tyres, add the wing mirrors, and also the camera. And then that's the assembly done. Okay. Right, let's have a look at more of the components of the kit. These are the brake discs, which you can see here. Nice level of detail again, very sharp and crisply moulded. Not quite sure what that is, but there you go. Very nicely caught as well. Nice level of detail. Then you got the engine, part of the engine block here. Again, the amount of detail on this is absolutely exquisite. It really is. There's your main air filter. And then your piston rods go there, like the engine cover there, which go your pistons. Main part of the engine mount at the front there. Again, lovely level of detail on it, beautifully caught. That's your back headrest. More engine detail there, and side parts for the air filters and air vents. Again, you can see all the wires and electronics on there, nicely caught. Beautiful detail. And then obviously some of these here are, there's your tyre hub, wheel hubs, parts of the actual suspension system, which you can see here, and rear wing support. Nicely caught again, nice level of detail. I'm not going to take these out of the bags, guys, because it's just, I don't want to lose any parts. And then obviously you've got parts of the main monocoque, which you can see here, and cockpit, and side wings, okay, etc. And there's your wing mirrors, which you can see here. Not much detail in the cockpit, to be honest with you. And then obviously you've got the actual nose there, etc. That's part of the rear wing. Nice level of detail on that again. It's going to take some painting though, because obviously you've got different colours with the rear wings, etc. So it's going to take quite a little bit of masking. Then you've got the engine cover, which you can see here, nice and smooth, very nicely caught. And then again you've got the exhaust system here, which you can see. I mean, you're going to have to dechrome these and just paint them up and maybe weather them up as though they've sort of got burnished with the heat of the engine. And then obviously the nice touch here is the actual camera. I probably imagine you probably just put a little bit of clear fix in there. And then obviously you've got parts for the wing mirrors. And that's your fuel cap, which is nicely caught as well. Then you've got part of the radiator system there for the air filters. Okay. This is the bottom plank or chassis, which you can see here. Nice and smooth, as these are the real car. And then obviously you've got the detail for some of the electronics on the front nose and the rear. And this is your battery or black box. That's your dashboard there, which is nicely caught, nice level of detail. That's your seat, which, to be honest with you, is a bit sparse. And then obviously you've got your main steering column there. But the detail on it is beautifully captured, I have to say, so that would do with a little bit of nice detail painting there. And then obviously you've got the front wing assembly here, again, and part of the rear wing. Very nicely caught. And then you got the wings, that's your God, what is it? Windscreen there, right there, and obviously the rear light, which you can probably colour up in red. And then obviously you've got your tyres here, which are quite strong. They are actual rubber, two varying lengths, and then obviously, as I say, you put the dry decal on for the Goodyear sign. So there you go. And then finally, you got your main decals with the Williams Rothmans gold, blue, and red, which is lovely. And you do have the added option of either doing it in Damon or Ayrton's car. And you've even got decals for the seat belts, look, lovely, and the main dashboard. So very nicely done, and looks like they're going to bed down beautifully as well. So there you go, guys. That is the Fujimi Williams Renault FW16 San Marino Grand Prix car. I don't think I'm going to do this one straight away as my first F1 car. I think, to be honest, with the colour scheme, it's going to be a bit of a lot of research. But the detail in this is very good, I have to say. There's plenty to build on this, so it's something to get your teeth into if you've done a few sort of Formula 1 cars under your belt. I'm glad I've got it in my stash, because as I say, it's very hardly sought after now, and it's getting rarer and rarer to get hold of, unless Fujimi reissue it. But yeah, it looks to be a lovely kit, and I'm sure it's going to build into a beautiful representation of the car, along with the figure I've got and the aftermarket decals. So I would heartily recommend, if you can get hold of one, do. I mean, the price has probably gone up ridiculously now. I mean, I got this one, I think, for about 45 to 50 quid. And the price on these is getting higher and higher because obviously it's a very sought after model of a very unique car. And obviously it was Ayrton's last car, so there you go. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. So until the next time, get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers.